Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Dr. Michael Kell here today, joining us once again for a fantastic show, and excited to have him and ready for the vent.
Thank you, my dear.
Go ahead.
Okay. They're going to talk about today is I'm going to talk about new TV shows coming up, which I don't know how it's going to work out totally, okay? But it's important because I am really pissed off today at this country and all of us in this country who don't give a fucking shit about anybody else. You know, they go to church, accept Jesus, might give some money, might even work at the church. But you know what? That's not changing stuff. And what got me really mad today, and the thing that I hate the most of all things, and believe me, God hates it more than anything else too, in a sense, at least from his angel's point of view, is sex trafficking, especially of children. And so I was reading an article today in this journal. I don't know if people can see it, okay, but it's a journal of the American Academy of Physicians. Sorry, it's probably not doing very good. And that's an organization that's been supporting the doctor-patient relationship.
Wow.
Basically, it's a sacred pact between them since 1943. So they're always in the news. And so they had an article in about drug and human trafficking. And so the question is, why is this going on? Okay.
Yeah.
One, because the government doesn't care. The government's corrupt. As Michael once told me, follow the money, you'll find the corruption. And they mentioned in this article a senator in Georgia named Nancy Schaefer, who was really upset about trafficking. And she actually went after the Child Protective Services for being fraudulent and corrupt.
So many stories I've seen in the news with this. CPS supposed to protect a child. Next thing you know, they end up dead, raped. I mean, it just, the stories.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
And then they said, and she was murdered in 2010. They said it was murder-suicide, but that's not how the government is, okay? Because there's too much money involved in these things, and I don't care what religion you come from.
Yeah.
There is an evil archetype that has been created by sentient creatures over a long, long time, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years, and that's probably why people talk about Satan as an angel. Now, he may or may not be. I mean, actually, it's hard to say, but at driving everything. And so when God said, Satan is the prince of the world, that is a literal statement. It may not be as an angel, but it's the heart of the world, which is self-aggrandizement and greed, And like Christians talk about, the soul making a sacred marriage with Jesus, right? Well, there is an unholy marriage made to these archetypes that people make. And that's why there's this myth about selling your soul. Not quite like people understand. But when you choose to do that one, it's not reversible. It's gone, okay? You're going to be exterminated when you're dead. But they don't care because they're short-sighted. And I know more about this trafficking in Georgia because a friend of mine who's a really good pastor of Oakdale Church of Christ, and I go to listen to this. I'm not really a Christian per se. I'm not anything per se, but I like to go listen to his lectures because he really thinks about them, and works them out logically. And it makes me, the presence where the Holy Spirit's in the church, that I think about the things, which is good for me. But he wanted to adopt a child, and there's a thing called, I don't remember what it's called in Georgia, but it's a group that try to get people together without the government involved to adopt children that really want to adopt children. And so this little girl was born, and he and his wife, and they have two older daughters, they wanted to adopt her. So it's no big deal. She signed the papers. In fact, she asked that they adopt her child because she was too young to take care of it.
Yeah.
And so they did, and all of a sudden DFAC started fighting them. Then this lady who's in charge of this group, which I forget the name, I apologize, got involved. She has a lot of contacts in Georgia and stuff, and that's probably where Nancy Schaefer got her stuff from, okay? Or at least there. And so what happened was the end of this is that, they finally prayed and God talked to them and stuff, which I know for Brian is true. And so they finally got the child after like maybe 3 years of fighting. And DFACs got screwed. They were ordered to agree with him and stuff. And a big fraud investigation came up with people. I assume they're arrested and stuff, okay? and how corrupt it is. And people are small. People are smaller than cockroaches in general. There's a little money, you can buy them anything, right? Buy their votes and stuff. So the government's supposed to be protecting us, but it won't protect us unless the people who are supposed to be demanding to be protected properly make a stink about it. And I don't see American protesting about things about sex trafficking. A lot of people are involved and try to stop it on a local level, which is good. That should not be allowed in this country. And when it means not be allowed, there's no mercy. If you're a sex trafficker and they catch you, you don't have to spend thousands, hundreds of dollar trials. If you know they are, what do? Exterminate bad machines, period. It sounds rough. It sounds bad, but you can't be merciful.
Michael?
Yeah?
We have not been recording this show.
That's okay.
My fault. No, you alarmed me before. My own fault. When I said I thought it was like you had to tell me something, you had to vent. I went right to the board. I never even clicked the record button. I'm so sorry. I'm going to hit it right now.
No. Don't worry about it.
I know. No, but I
got another show coming up. I can, do things. Okay.
Go ahead, Michael.
I wanted to tell you.
Thank you.
I like it.
I know. Thank you.
And I know you have probably good listeners. Okay. That's who I talk to. It's not for everybody. So we need to be more proactive. Because if you're not proactive, there is an end times. It may not be like Revelation's written, okay? But there will. We will destroy ourselves, most of ourselves, and who knows if we can recover after a massive war, okay? With biological weapons and stuff, but people have to say, they have to look in their heart and say, if I have any connection to any kind of God, I can't allow this to happen. And maybe I'm not a big person, okay? I'm a little person. But I can get involved to the best of my ability, because I want to be on God's side. Whatever God is, whatever religion is, that's something else I'm going to talk about in the future, is why it's so confusing, religions and stuff, and why they're all self-centered and not really telling the whole truth. And I'm going to tell you from experience, personal experience from God, okay? But that's the other thing. And so that's what I wanted to just to bitch about today. And I don't know how much time we have left. Do we have much time left?
Of course, we got 20, I can't do math, 20 minutes left.
Really?
Yeah.
It only took 10 minutes for me to go into rage.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I
pretty
thought
good.
you were going to go off on me or us. And I was like,
No.
oh my gosh. I'm like,
No.
anything you want to say is your platform. And and unfortunately we didn't record,
Okay.
but we're on. Go ahead.
So what I talk about now, on the bright side, is that, I accept the guilt that I give to everybody else. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but at least I feel remorseful. So I try to do something about it. And it's the trying part, honest trying, that counts. You may not succeed, but if you actually try, that's real bonus points with God.
Wow.
Because the God, Holy Mother, Holy Father understands how hard it is and how impossible it is. Okay. But I want to talk about the show coming up and what I think I'm going to call it. And actually, I actually have this domain name already set up, and I didn't think about it then, but I just was trying to keep other people out of my business. I'm going to call it Radical Enlightenment and Radical Healing. And it's not going to be, it's going to be a very useful show. And I know a lot of healers and stuff, so it'll be a lot of good stuff for people. But it's going to not have any boundaries when it comes to truth, as best I can explain it. And I may be wrong sometimes, and that's okay. But I want to get people stirred up to fix this country, fix their families, if I can, which I know I'm going to fail. Not for everybody, though. But if you don't try, nothing changes.
Yeah, true.
And so, and then we know it's going to be on Bold Brave TV. That's where my gel is. And I can't go anywhere else, even if they paid me tons of money. Because I don't care about the money. Unless I pay my bill. And so with this, on the good side, is that I joined this group with Christian Michelson. I don't know if you know him. He's one of those big internet guys that market stuff. So he markets healing. And so I took one of his 4-day courses. I forget what you call those courses, but 4-day courses, okay? And because I'm really interested in mental and spiritual healing, and it means doctors might be involved, you need a lot, you need the whole compartment to really heal. And so I wanted to see what he did and see how it worked. And so I spent the 4 days there doing it and stuff. And there was a lot of breakouts, so I could practice his technique, which is really my technique. But That's okay. I have to learn his too. And talking to people, and just seeing what was good and what was missing from it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was so worthwhile with the possibility, not so much the thing, okay? It was fun talking to people because I was experimenting. But the possibility is that to do a 2-year ongoing marketing and teaching course, it's like $80,000. Usually 1 year, pay right up front, 62. But I knew I'd get 2 years, he would change it. I think he did. Not for me. He didn't know me yet, but he did. And so I could pay for it. And so doing this thing, I got broken out into groups with a lot of similar people sometimes, and I could see what they did. And they all have different techniques, because there's a lot of absent healing techniques that you can do. And so I started talking to a couple of them. And some are sort of odd, I have to admit, but their heart's in the right places, and they can do what they can do. And so they apparently have a little group, 40 people that sort of get together. I don't know how they do this because I haven't got the details yet, but I don't think they're very organized, and one of the things I think would be good is to get people organized. And so you have a big nidus of people using different techniques because different people respond to different things differently. A lot of it's natural healing, turn on your placebo response, which I don't like that word, but your natural healing response. And that depends on how you've been brought up, what your belief systems are. So it's good to have more than one person. And, and so I was hoping that when I get to know these guys better and they want to think about this, they really need to set up what I think I would call the healing spirit village.
Nice.
A night, and it can be online a lot because you can do that easily, but a place to go to where people could actually go for healing, that works with everything else that they need to do. Plus you get some teaching in it while they go on. So I'm pretty excited about this show.
Me too. Can't wait to see it. And watch you in action. Yay. This is awesome. And then one day you're going to come to New York and you're going to meet with me too, right? Right.
Well, I may have to do what you do. See, just come up one weekend and do 4 shows. Right? Because they're TV shows,
Yeah.
I don't know when I get to do that, but it depends on how many people we get listening to things. But I know from my last experience, which was between 2004 to 2013, I think. It's like 9.5 years that I did start with one show every Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking to all kinds of people in the world.
Perfect.
I'm not necessarily always big people, sometimes little people, because I liked what they did. They had a good golden heart. And, then I actually did a comedy political show for a while with a friend of mine. And he was a serious person. His sister, a retired teacher, looked stuff up for us. We had information. And then I just bitched about how stupid it was.
Yeah.
So it was funny. And but we had a lot of listeners, and I like doing it. So it's going to be a little different doing it with video. But I know that even with words, a person is talking, and it doesn't mean you're a good talker, like technically, but people have energies, and you listen to the words carry what's called prosody, which is the emotional stuff, which ties to the meaning stuff. And so when they talk, even if they stutter sometimes, make mistakes, doesn't matter, because they are making your feelings agree what they want, the message they want to give you. I mean, the best you can, not trying to force you, but giving you opportunity. And, and that's really powerful. And that's why people, spinning people is a good example. It's easy to spin people. You just have to know a little bit about them, because most people don't think very well, don't want to think very long term. And so that's a flaw with our species, that we're easily spun. And I used to argue with my friend David Gruder, who's like one of the nicest people I ever met, a psychologist that does emotional stuff. He goes, we have to educate. I go, David, I agree. Education's a good thing, but it hasn't really worked in the past, has it? Except for certain people that are ready to be educated. He said, spin is part of our species. So why don't we spin them for the good? That's going to have more quick effect than if more and more people get spun and they start thinking, this is good. I like this because this is what God wants me to do, whatever. They'll change.
Yeah.
So it's like a different kind of education. So he would never agree with me, but I go, that's okay. We just have to be each other jobs and stuff. But I've enjoyed talking to you, and it's been a lot of times, and maybe and I know it's not business really.
No.
So it's a little off the subject, but I really like you.
Thank
And, you know,
you.
and I like what you do, you know, and I like that I told you, I like that, you know, whether you actually feel like a mom or not, doesn't matter. You are a good mom.
Thank you.
Your
I know
boys and
I am,
stuff.
to the point where it leaves me in you can't even understand. If you want to talk personal, we can talk personal. Like I am just overwhelmed, and I was about to, I think, have a nervous breakdown this weekend, crying hysterical. And I called my sister and I said, I need help. I don't ask for help and I'm going to cry now. I said, I'm with my kids 24/7. I get them up, ready, school, work, then homework, sports. I don't get a break, you know? My little guy's dad comes around every now and then, but he's not, no, I'm with them 24/7 and I have my first son by myself. So I'm full-time mom. And I'm like, my house is just overwhelmed with toys, with stuff, with piles. I don't have time. My house is super clean. My kitchen, you can't walk on the floor. Everything is clean, but there's piles of shit. I'm talking Halloween decorations in the hallway, Christmas decoration, now Easter. So I don't have time to put them away, you know. And then at nighttime, we get ready to go to bed and we all sleep in the same bed together. Like we're just like this. I have no time for myself. And this mental like anxiety about the stuff and clutter in my house is now gotten to me physically. And my sister promised me, she said, tonight I'll give you 4 hours. I'm going to pick up your kids. I said, and I need probably like 2 weeks straight, to be honest, but I don't have that type of time. So that's what's going on in personal life. I love my kids and I'm a great mom, but and like tonight, so she's going to take him to the soccer for me. Tomorrow's baseball. She's going to help me again, which is rare. My sister never helps me, but to the point where I guess she saw me
You felt
break
it.
down and I'm like, it's like a serious problem. I just don't have time for myself, let alone anyone else in my life. I can't. It's impossible, you know? And yeah, that's everyone's thing. You're so busy. I am so busy. I choose to be this busy, you know? So I'm just mentally like, I have a lot of crap in my head that I'm going through, and I'm just waiting for that calm and peace, but it'll happen soon, I hope.
Well, I got two ideas for you,
Uh-huh.
which you don't have time to do them. One is pretty easy, okay, but if you could find time. Yeah, I did send you that article I wanted you to take some time to read. I don't know if you read it or not, but I did send that freedom exercises, okay, the great exercises to you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they're stupidly simple
Mm-hmm.
because divinity is very simple,
Yeah.
you know, and changing psychologically is simpler than everybody thinks because mainly what we think and what's going on in our mind is our environment, you know, and we hold on to everything, you know, hold on, won't let it go. You let it go, and then you start feeling better. So if you have time, you know, I know I sent it to the one your email that you the regular one, okay, not that one, your one.
Thanks.
You know, a couple of weeks ago probably. And the other thing is, have you ever thought of hiring a Mary Poppins?
I it's funny you say that. I can't afford to hire a nanny. No, it's impossible. And it's funny you said that because I had one babysitter who was amazing, and she's a mom now. She has a 2-year-old now, but she didn't at the time, and she has a teenager. But she was what I call Mary Poppins. My kids loved her. She lived close. Now she lives in Florida. She's here every now and then. We saw a Halloween trick or treat with her, but we don't. No, and she's gone. So and then it's funny. I advertised on like care.com, not looking for. I can't afford a full time nanny. I can't afford. It's bad enough to pay someone $25 an hour to go out for 4 hours. It adds
Yeah.
up, but that's how I describe my ad on care.com to find a babysitter that just can come every now and then. I describe that person as I need a Mary Poppins. That's so funny you said that. I don't need a babysitter that when I come home, because what happens is you hire these girls, you come home, the house is trashed, the dishes aren't done. Leave it the way it was, and everything's perfect. There may be piles of crap everywhere, but everything's clean.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and the girls, they don't do that. So the house becomes trash. I come home, I get overwhelmed with anxiety. I don't know how to, I don't go out. And then I come home and it's more work for me now to pick up everything that my kids did when I was gone. And that's supposed to be their job. So it's so hard to find a Mary Poppins. It really is. It really is,
Well,
but can't afford it anyway. And then to trust someone who's going to drive them to sports and this and that. And ironically, I caught my son's godfather in Nashville. His friend owns the Nanny Poppins Agency. Google it, Nanny Poppins Agency. She's up in Rhode Island. And long story short, I said, I'm just curious. I said, I reached out to the owner. Her name is Jem. This was last year because I thought I was going to get this other full-time job and I'd have to leave in the middle of the night. To hire a nanny, it was $35 through this agency, $35 an hour times 24. I'm like, what? I'm like, this person's making more money than me. I said, why would I work? But I guess people who have that type of, make millions of dollars or something, and then, yeah. And yeah. I got another job offer in television a few months ago, and I have to start working at 3 in the morning. So I do the math, and okay, so I'm leaving my house at 3 a.m. to start. Okay, and then I need someone now to come over at 3 to 9. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 6 hours a day times 25, $48,000 a year. I said, why am I going to work? If I'm going to have to pay my $50,000, doesn't make sense. So like things are with kids now, life is just different. I don't go out much. I don't socialize much. I don't have time for relationships. It's just like, yeah. But I'm overall happy. My overall choice is my boys. It makes me smile. I'm happy, and everything will work out eventually. But yeah. Thanks for letting me vent today too. You vented.
You
Now
ever
I'm
thought about
venting.
affiliate marketing?
No.
You should. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, you can market, I can tell.
Thank
So
you.
affiliate marketing and stuff. I'll send you some people that I came across, and I know a lot of them now. Okay. I don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't like, it's not as much time. Okay. But it's just
Yeah.
not it's not what fits my brain.
Uh-huh.
Okay? But you can get some really good things you do, make $1,000 a week easy. I mean, I'm doing things, and after really a lot of money, once you learn the systems, and there's some good guys out there that I think are sincere. I mean, they're money driven, but they're nice and sincere. Okay. And you want other people to be successful because it makes them sell more stuff. And I'll send some names to you.
Okay.
Because I get them all the time because I was I buy things. Okay. If I like it, I buy it. And everybody's going, I'm an enthusiastic buyer. And I go, yeah, I had the problem. It's good. But you can tell it's good. And I can tell it's good, even if I don't know about it. But it's not so good for me because it makes me spend all my money.
Yeah.
And it's not things. Okay. It's like systems. But so I've sort of created, I'm the hub. I got all these different things I could do, and I've learned how to do them, but I don't want to do them so far because I haven't found my vehicle, and like Christian Michelson is sort of my vehicle, but even the ladies I've talked to there, it's a lot of female energy there, say, well, you'll probably do something totally different than him. And I go, probably will. But now I know how to energize what I'm going to do. Healing's a really big deal, but you need to take out the bullshit out of it, and tell people the truth, whether they like it or not. And that's going to be part of the thing about radical enlightenment on the show is I'm tired of people not seeing what things are like, then the ego get in the way of what they want. Okay. And there's the best philosopher I ever sort of knew, but he died 42 years before I was born, was a guy named George Gurdjieff. He was like a Greek Armenian teacher. Okay. And he has school and stuff, but he never could find somebody to actually really take it over, which is a problem sometimes. So there's like offshoots and stuff, and they get pretty outrageous, some things. But he used to tell people how things are, and he'd say, you know what? Happy is the person who has completed his or her soul.
Yeah.
Somewhat happy is the person doesn't care about not having a soul.
Yeah.
And I don't mean soul like the Bible says. That's just your mind, okay? Having something eternal. And he says, pity the poor man or woman who's striving to make one. And when we would realize that humans are no better than any other animal, like dogs are better and loving than we are, but we're no better. The division of divinity and acceptance of being divine isn't between chimpanzees and man. That's egoism. Yeah. It's within man themselves. And if you understand Jesus, you understood that's what he taught. Everybody may have a choice to go to heaven or hell, which they do. But once it's done, it's done. Either become an agent for divinity to make the plan work better, or you don't.
Yeah.
And like everybody reincarnating is an Indian lie, because they don't know. And they had less data than we do. And I'm going to talk about that one time. Maybe before I do, I want to talk about, there's 2,500 studies at least when kids talk about some person that died.
Yeah.
Recently, people say, well, it's like reincarnation. I go, no, it's like ghosts. It's like a ghost hanging around, and it's take a susceptible person and be there for a little bit, but it can't stay. But everybody wants to be better than they are, and that takes work. As you know, that's why you're a good mom, because you really do all the work.
Mm-hmm.
But the release exercises will help you. And if you ever had time, I'd be happy to go over them with you.
Yeah.
I don't think I need to because you're smart.
Got it. Oh, thank you.
I mean, it's like ABC. You even have to get past D.
Thank you. By the way, we have the whole show is on Zoom, totally recorded. It was just the audio portion that we only covered 20 minutes of, just letting you know. Remember before I told you? So we have the whole show. We didn't lose anything technically at all. Thank you for venting. I'm glad I got to vent too. Thank you for listening to me. Nobody listens. I don't talk to many people. If someone wants to reach out to you, you got to tell us how we reach you, and we got to go now. Thank you.
Well, the best place to go is just my old-fashioned email, AELLMJ@AOL.com. And the reason is because I don't ever check my websites.
Yeah.
Because I'm not interested yet in checking my websites.
Perfect.
Everything has a place and things. But I'm happy you shared some stuff with you because
gosh,
you know why? What I learned on my podcasting is when the people get to know who you are and how you respond to life, effectively, it's not always happily.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you much more of a powerful influencer. Yeah. And you are, as you
just
share.
A real person. We all have our struggles. Gonna get through this. Hopefully next week I'd be a little happier that I got some time to declutter for 2 days for 8 hours. We'll see. Check in on me next week, okay?
Okay.
I'll see you then.
I'll see you next week.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right,
Bye-bye.
Michael. Bye-bye.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.